Hello, welcome to this video lecture. Today we will be discussing regarding population genetics. This is a very interesting subject. We are very much interested to know regarding the population, whether a population is progressive, whether a population is declining, or whether a population is at equilibrium. We can find out from this discussion. So before going into the subject, first we should know what is a population and why should we study this. So there are certain objectives. So from this lecture you will find you can define a population and you will able to know how the size of the gene pool can affect the evolutionary success of a population, and coming to this population or this population genetics is the study of how selective forces change a population through changes in allele and genotypic frequencies. So a population is a group of individuals that can all interbreed upon distinguished as a species, because these individuals can share genes and pass on combination of genes to the next generation, and the collection of these genes is called a gene pool. This is called a gene pool, that the collection of genes, that all genes present in the population, they constitute the gene pool. And the process of evolution occurs only in population and not in individual. A single individual cannot evolve alone, and evolution is the process of changing the gene frequency within a gene pool. And there are certain forces, those are responsible for this genetic variation and evolution in a population. Basically, those are mutation, natural selection, genetic drift, genetic hitchhiking, migration, so on. So why do some organisms survive while others die? The surviving organisms generally possesses certain traits or characteristics that benefits them to survive. Each of these characteristics is the result of a mutation or a change in the genetic code, and mutation occurs spontaneously. But not all mutations are heritable. They pass down to offsprings only if the mutations occur in the gametes, and these heritable mutations are responsible for the rise of new traits in a population. And then coming to this natural selection, just a mutation causes new traits in population, and natural selections act on the frequency of these traits. Because there are more organisms than sources, all organisms are in a constant struggle for existence. In natural selection, those individuals with superior traits will be able to produce more offsprings. The more offsprings in an organism can produce, the highest its fitness, that is a novel trait, and behaviors arise from mutation. Natural selection perpetuates the traits that confer a benefit. So according to the theory of evolution or evolutionary theory, every organism from human beings to beetles to plants to bacteria share a common ancestor, and millions of years of evolutionary pressure caused some organism to die while others survived, leaving Earth with the diverse life form we have today. Within this diversity is unity. For example, all organisms are composed of cells and use DNA, and the theory of evolution gives us a unifying theory to explain the similarities and differences within life's organism and processes. So just I was talking the major factors those are responsible for this evolution in a population. Those are genetic variation in a population, those are mutations, natural selection, genetic drift, gene hitchhiking, and gene flow. Now, when all these forces they act, there is always a change in allelic frequency or gene frequency within a population. So, first we should know what is this allelic frequency or gene frequency. That means the allele or the gene frequency is the rate at which a specific allele appears within a population. And in population genetics, the term evolution is defined as a change in the frequency of an allele in a population. And this frequency of allele ranges from 0, that means it is present in no individuals, or to 1, that means it is present in all the individuals in the population. And the gene pool is the sum of all the allele at all genes in a population. You can better understand this by using this ABO blood group. The frequency of one allele, for example, IA, is the number of copies of that allele divided by all the copies of ABO gene in the population, that is all the allele. And allele frequency can be expressed as a decimal or as a percent, and always add up to 1 or 100% of the total population. So in ABA blood type system in human beings, there are 3 alleles, that is IA, IB, or without any antigen, that is A or B. And they determine the particular blood type protein on the surface of red blood cells. As a result, we have different kinds of blood groups. A human with type A allele will display A-type proteins on the surface of the red blood cells, and individuals with phenotype of type A blood have the genotype, either both will be in homozygous condition, that is capital A, or one will be having this antigen and other without that. Similarly, the type B will be having both the dominant allele, that is B, capital B, or may be heterozygous. And in case of type AB, both the antigens A as well as B both are present, and in case of this O group, none of the antigens are present over this RBC. So a diploid organism can only carry two alleles for a particular gene, and in human blood type the combinations are composed of two alleles such as AA or AB or without any of these antigens. So in a population of 50 people where all blood types are present, there may be more IA allele than small I alleles. For example, in a simple population of humans, the frequency of I capital A allele or this A allele might be if 0.2%. This means that 26% of the chromosome in that population carry this allele, this A allele. So if we know that the frequency of IB allele in this population is 0.14, then the frequency of this allele without these antigens that is 0.6. So this can be obtained by subtracting all the allele from 1. So 1 minus 0.026 minus 0.14, that is 0.6. So a change in this allele frequency over time would constitute evolution in the population. When allelic frequency within a population changes randomly with no advantage to the population over existing allelic frequency, the phenomenon is called genetic drift. So in genetic drift, there is no advantage to the population. The smaller a population, the more susceptible it is to mechanisms such as genetic drift, as allele are more likely to become fixed at 0 or 1. So when it is 0, in none of the individuals the allele is present, and when it is 1, this allele is universally present. And random events that alter allelic frequency will have a much larger effect when the gene pool is small. Genetic drift and natural selection usually occur simultaneously in a population, but the cause of frequency change is often impossible to determine. So, if an allele confers a phenotype that enables an individual to better survive or have more offspring, the frequency of that allele will increase, because many of those offsprings will also carry the beneficial allele, and therefore the phenotype, they will have more offspring of their own that also carry the allele. Now if the number of individuals in one generation increases to its previous generation, then the organism has a positive trend to survive, and they are best fit in that condition. Over time, the allele will spread throughout the population and may become fixed. And every individual in the population carries the allele. If an allele is dominant but detrimental, it may be swiftly eliminated from the gene pool when the individual with the allele does not reproduce. So one allele is detrimental, that is dangerous for this organism or individuals. So whenever the allele will be present, the organism will die. So as a result, what will happen? All the organism with that particular allele will be eliminated from the gene pool. However, a detrimental recessive allele can remain for generation in a population, because it cannot show its effect by due to the dominant allele in heterozygotes. In such case, the only individuals to be eliminated from the population are those unlucky enough to inherit two copies of such a recessive allele. That is, when the recessive allele is in homozygous condition and the allele is detrimental, then the individual will die. Now there is another factor that is responsible for a change in allelic frequency in a population, that is called a founder effect. So what is a founder effect? Suppose a group of individuals from one population, they migrated to a certain place or isolated due to some reason or other, and when they grow into a new population, they have different allelic frequency, and this effect we called as founder effect. So the founder effect occurs when a part of a population becomes isolated and establishes a separate gene pool with its own allele frequencies. When small number of individuals become the basis of a new population, this new population can be very different genetically from the original population if the founder are not representative of the original. Therefore, many different populations with very different and uniform gene pool can all originate from the same larger population. Together, these forces of natural selection, genetic drift, and founder effect can lead to a significant change in the gene pool of a population. Now, with the same founder effect, you can see here that this is the larger population where these red and blue beads, they represent the alleles. Here the red are 50% and the green are 50%, or the allelic frequency is 0.5 in case of red, and so also in a green. But after generation, so this is one new population, this is another new population, and this is another new population. So when a small group they migrate, what happens in generation 1? So after the split, you find this red one, this allele frequency becomes 0.2 and the green is 0.8. And coming to the generation 3, you will find this becomes red becomes 0.6 and green becomes 0.4. And in generation 4, this is 0.9 to 1, and finally in the 5th generation you will find that only these red alleles are there without these green alleles. That means what happened? So the allele is fixed now, so all the individuals in this population contains the allele, and this is this green allele is eliminated from the population. So another scenario in which population might experience a strong influence of genetic drift is if some portion of the population leave to start a new population, what we call this as the founder effect. And in this case, the original population and the new population, they are completely different. The allelic frequency is very much different in both the population. So here the another effect, that is genetic drift. So through the process of genetic drift, one allele can be eliminated from the population. For example, you can see in the first generation of these rabbits, there are 10 rabbits. Here 10 rabbits are there, and the coat color is brown and white. So the allele capital B is dominant over the allele small b, that is responsible for white coat color, and the dominant allele is responsible for this brown coat color. So in the first generation, you can see that the allelic frequency of B is 0.5, and so also the allelic frequency of this small b, that is responsible for white coat color. Now, in the first generation, the allelic frequency is 0.5 for both the alleles. Now, suppose half of the individuals reproduce and they result in the formation of the second generation. Now here the capital B, okay, the capital B allelic frequency are changed to 0.7, and the small b, allele small b, that is changed to 0.3. And in this third generation, when only 2 rabbits they reproduce, what happens? In all the 10 rabbits, they have only the capital B allele. That means in third generation, the allelic frequency of capital B, that is dominant for the coat color, brown coat color, is present in all the allele, and this recessive allele, that is small b, representing the white coat color, is eliminated from the population. So you can see this, how this happens. So this the way by which one allele is eliminated from the population, and this is due to the process of genetic drift, and this genetic drift can occur only when the population size is small, and if there is any kind of natural calamity or catastrophe that the population experience, then only this kind of phenomenon is observed in nature. Now there is another phenomenon that can enhance the effect of genetic drift, that is called bottleneck effect. So this genetic drift can also be magnified by the natural event, such as a natural disaster that kills a large population, or that kills a large portion of the population at random. The bottleneck effect occurs only when few individuals survive and reduces variation in the gene pool. So here, due to this natural disaster, very few individuals they survive and reduce the variation in gene pool of a population, and the genetic structure of the survivors become the genetic structure of the entire population, which may be very different from the pre-disaster population. So if you will find the allelic frequency here before the disaster and allelic frequency after the disaster, they will be varying a lot. So this population is entirely different from the original population. So when they survive and they form one population, just like founder effect, you will find a rapid change in this allelic frequency. Similarly, this mutation process, that is also responsible for this selection. Just I was telling you, why do some organisms survive while others die? The surviving organisms generally possess certain characters that helps in keeping these individuals alive in the changing environmental condition. Each of the characteristics is a result of a mutation or a change of genetic code. These heritable mutations are responsible for the rise of new traits in a population. So, this was the normal population, and due to mutation these variations occurs, and some variations are unfavorable mutations, so they are eliminated from the population like this, and ultimately we get a new group of individuals in the population, and those can better live in the changing environmental condition. Now to explain how this frequency of the allele that helps in maintaining the allelic frequency of individuals or allelic frequency in a population, two people they established one theory or principle, that is the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So Hardy was an English mathematician, while this Weinberg was a German physician. They used the statistics of this allelic frequency and could able to form the principle. So, as per their principle, the allele and genotype frequency in a population tend to remain constant in the absence of disturbing influences like non-random mating, mutation, selection, limited population size, random genetic drift, and gene flow. So, when there is non-random mating, the allelic frequency changes. Otherwise, the allelic and genotype frequency in a population remain constant. So, when there is no choice of mating, that is random mating is there, then only the allelic frequency will remain, or genetic genotype frequency will remain constant. Similarly, if there is no mutation, so when these physical or chemical mutations or spontaneous mutations are absent, then there is no chance the allelic or genotype frequency will change in a population. Similarly, selection. So nowadays we select certain varieties over the wild varieties. For example, in croplands, suppose one variety is giving higher yield, resistant to pathogens or abiotic stress, then we cultivate that variety. So as a result, what happens? The wild varieties are eliminated from the population, and from the system, when these wild varieties are eliminated, what happens? These So-called high-yielding varieties, they grew all over, and as a result, we lose certain good alleles. Those are responsible to keep the plant maybe resistant to certain pathogen or certain situations, and this happens only due to selection. And similarly, this limited population size, when the population size is reduced to few number of individuals in a population, what happens due to this process of or the force of genetic drift or bottleneck effect or this founder effect, there is a change in allelic frequency, and so also in genetic drift, and similarly in gene flow. Now what is gene flow? That is when new allele they come from other population to a population. So when there is migration, maybe immigration or emigration, that means new individuals they came into a population or some individuals go out of the population, that is immigration or emigration. In that case also the allelic frequency and genotype frequency changes. But so these are the disturbing influences that makes the allelic and genotypic frequency changing in a population. So when these are absent, this allelic and genotype frequency remain constant in a population. That is the principle of Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So when one population is at equilibrium, there is no change in allelic and genotype frequency. But in nature, what happens? The condition of Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium are never met. Why? Because there are always some disturbing influences in the nature, and Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium can only be explained or approximated in the lab. It has usefulness as a model for studying real populations. Now, as per this Hardy-Weinberg principle, they have one equation, that is P plus Q is equal to 1, and P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. Now what is P and Q? So a gene has two alleles, one is dominant allele and another one is recessive allele. So the frequency of the dominant allele is represented by small p, whereas the frequency of the recessive allele is represented by Q, and the frequency of genotype, so this is allelic frequency and this is genotype frequency. So P square, Q square and 2PQ are the genotype frequency. So this P square is the genotype frequency of all dominant homozygous individuals. Similarly, this Q square is the frequency of the genotype, those are homozygous but recessive in nature, and this 2PQ is the genotype frequency of the heterozygotic individuals. So the Hardy-Weinberg principle assumes that in a given population, the population is large and is not experiencing these disturbing forces like mutation, migration, natural selection or sexual selection, and the frequency of P and Q is equal to 1, and so also the P square, 2PQ and Q square, that is the genotype frequency, will be the sum of the genotype frequency will be 1. So when P is 0, then Q is 1, and when Q square is 1, then this p square is 0, and so p plus q, that means the sum of both the allele, the frequency of sum of both the allele will remain 1, and so also the genotypic frequency of the individuals in a population will remain 1 only in absence of these disturbing forces and when the population is in HW equilibrium. Now, this is an example where you will able to know how we can calculate the genotype frequency, this allelic frequency, or this whether the population is at equilibrium or not. Now here is an example. Here we have one gene that is represented by capital Y allele and small y allele. So this may be the combination of the genotype will be all dominant, that is Y, or in heterozygotic condition, that is capital Y, small y, and in recessive homozygous condition, that is both are in small y. Now say the number of individuals in the population is 500. So the number of individuals in the population is 500. Out of that 500, there are 245 homozygous dominant, 210 homozygous heterozygous, and 45 are of homozygous recessive individuals. Now the Y allele is, so here this is 240 and there are 2 alleles, so it becomes 490, 245 into 2, and this is only one capital Y, so it is 210, and they become 700 dominant allele in the population, and total allelic frequency is, because all are deployed in nature, so you will have 1000 alleles, and out of the 1000 allele 700 are of capital Y category. So the allelic frequency becomes 0.7. 700 by 1000, that is 0.7. And here in case of the small y, this is like 210, small y 210, and this is 45, so there are 2 recessive y here, so 45 into 2, that is 90. So the number of small y allele, that is recessive allele, is 300. So how many these recessive allele are present in the population? 300 alleles are present in the population containing 1000 allele. So the allelic frequency becomes 0.3. So P is 0.7, Q is 0.3, so this becomes 7.7 plus 0.3, that is 1. As per this HW principle, P plus Q will be always 1. And similarly, the genotype frequency is 245 by 500, that is 0.45, or 210 by 500, that is 0.42, and 45 by 500, that is 0.09. So if you add all these, this is p square, 2pq, q square, this will be also 1. So you can find it here. So if it is 0.7, if p is 0.7, p square is 0.49. So if it is 0.7 and q is 0.3, then what happens? Pq will be 0.21 and 2pq will be 0.42, 0.42. And similarly, if q is 0.3, q square will be 0.09. So p square plus 2pq plus q square is 1. So 0.7 square plus 2 into 0.7 into 0.3 plus 0.3 square is equal to 1. So this is how we can determine the allelic frequency and genotype frequency in a population which is in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So, as per this Hardy-Weinberg principle, this will be always possible only when these differences or disturbing forces are not there in the population. So, in absence of these disturbing forces, only this allelic frequency and genotype frequency will remain constant. Now, let us take an example where we have to find out that a population is in HW equilibrium. What will be the genotype frequency or allelic frequency? Assume a population in which 36% of the population are homozygous for a certain recessive allele, that is small a. Say, assume the population is at equilibrium. So, if A is 36%, if this homozygous recessive is 36%, what is the frequency of this allele, recessive allele? So, if Q square is 0.36, so in 100 cases there are 36 individuals with homozygous, so this genotype frequency is 0.36. So, Q square is 0.36, so Q will be square root of 0.36, that is 0.6. So, Q is 0.6. Now, what is the frequency of the dominant allele? Now, as per this HW principle, P plus Q is equal to 1. So, if Q is 0.6, if Q is 0.6, the P will be 1 minus 0.6, that is 0.4. Now, what percentage of the population are homozygous for the dominant allele? Now, the P is 0.4, so P square will be square of 0.4, that is 0.16, and if 0.16 are dominant homozygous, so the genotype frequency is 16%. Now, what percentage of population are heterozygous? So, P is 0.6 and Q is P is 0.4, Q is 0.6, so 2PQ will be 0.48, that is 48% of the individuals in the population are heterozygous in nature. Now, why do you start from the problem with the percentage of homozygous recessive in the population, but why not we start the problem with percentage of homozygous dominant in the population? It is because it is not possible to tell the homozygous dominant from the heterozygous by examining the phenotype. So, the phenotype will be showing the recessive trait only when both the alleles are in homozygous recessive condition. But for the dominant case, phenotypes, heterozygous phenotypes and homozygous dominant, they will have all alike appearance. So, for that reason, we have started this problem, solving the problem from the homozygous recessive one. Now, here is another example. We have here 4 population, and in all population, for easy understanding, I have kept them to same numbers. So, in population 1, we have homozygous dominant 60, heterozygous 20 and homozygous recessive 20. So, there are 100 individuals in all these populations, and in all this population the number of or the genotype frequency of different category are different. Now the question is, which population is in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium? Now, to know which population is in HW equilibrium, first of all, we have to find out this P and Q. So, in first population, the P is 0.7 and Q is 0.3. This is the allelic frequency of the dominant allele, and this is the allelic frequency of the recessive allele. So in first population it is 0.7 and 0.3. In the second population this is 0.4 and 0.6. In the third population the frequency of this dominant allele is 0.6 and the frequency of the recessive allele is 0.4. And in fourth population the frequency of dominant allele is 0.42 and the frequency of the recessive allele is 0.58. Now, once we calculated this P and Q value, let us calculate what is the expected P square, Q square and 2PQ value. Because here we have taken that, let us take all the population are in HW equilibrium. If all the population will be in HW equilibrium, then what will happen? The allelic frequency, the observed genotype frequency and expected genotype frequency will be the same. So in case of population 1, the P square is 0.49. So in 100 case, 49 will be of dominant homozygous dominant type, 42 will be of heterozygous type, and 9 will be of homozygous recessive type genotype. Now, if you look at the expected genotype frequency and or expected genotypes and observed genotypes, there is a lot of variation. So this dominant homozygous dominant is 60 here and here it is 49, and this recessive is 20 here, recessive homozygous is 20 here genotypes, but here it is 9. So the first population is not in HW equilibrium. Now coming to the second population, here the PQ values are 0.4 and 0.6. So it should have 16 individuals of homozygous dominant type, 48 individuals of heterozygous genotype, and 36 should have this homozygous recessive genotypes. But the observed values are different. So this is 30, 20 and 50, whereas the expected is 16, 48 and 36. So the second population is not in HW equilibrium. Now coming to the third one. In the third one also you will find the P and Q value is 0.6 and 0.4. So if it is 0.6, the expected genotype frequency will be 0.36 for the dominant homozygous genotype. So number of individuals should be 36, which is exactly what we observed. And in the heterozygotic condition, that is 2PQ is 0.48. So that is 48 individuals will be of heterozygote type genotype, and this is also 48. And in case of this homozygous recessive genotype, it is 16, and so also the observed value. So here both the expected and observed values are the same. So this population is in HW equilibrium. And coming to this third one, fourth population, where the observed values are quite different from the expected value, so this population is not at all in this HW equilibrium. So to find out whether a population is like in HW equilibrium or it is not in equilibrium, then we have to find out this PQ value. Now what is the benefit of getting this whether a population is in equilibrium or not? Though we know that this disturbing force like this migration, gene flow, this selection, mutation, genetic drift, founder effect, all things are happening in this nature, then what is the benefit of calculating all these things and finding this genotype frequency or allelic frequency? It is because when a population is not in equilibrium, in fact all the population, none of the population are in equilibrium, because this is a theoretical concept. In nature it is impossible for a population to remain in HW equilibrium, as the disturbing forces are always there and the allelic frequency are always changing, the genotype frequency is always changing. But when the population is not in HW equilibrium, why we are interested to find out that? It is because when the population is not in HW equilibrium, so that the population may be progressive one or may be retrogressive one or declining one. So when the population will be progressive one, always we will find that the heterozygotic genotypes, the number of heterozygotic genotype always increase with comparison to these homozygote genotypes. It is because in a heterozygote both the alleles are present, and when both the alleles are present, for a changing environment they can cope better, because when only one allele is there and when there is a certain change in the environmental parameters like temperature, humidity, all these things, then what happens? This single allele, whether it is homozygous condition, homozygous dominant or recessive, may not able to survive in this changing environment. But when both the allele, this dominant and recessive allele are present, then they can able to survive in the changing environment. So it is better to find out what is the genotype frequency of these heterozygotes, and it will tell whether the population is going whether the fitness of the population is good, that is in positive mode, or the fitness is in negative mode, then whether the population is progressive or declining, that can be understood from this HW calculations, or PQ or allelic frequency, genotype frequency calculations, or examining the population through this process of taking this HW equilibrium principle. Now we have some takeaways from this lecture. What is that? A gene pool is the sum of all the alleles, and allelic frequency ranges from 0 to 1. The smaller a population, the more susceptible it is to these disturbing forces like natural selection, genetic drift, so and so. And the founder effect, when occurs, when a part of original population establishes a new population with a separate gene pool, and HW principle helps in finding the status of a population, or whether the population is going to be extincted or the population is stable or unstable, that can be known from this HW principle. So that's all in the video lecture. Thank you.